It's 2 minutes past 9. You're still watching Smart Means Business. I'm Andrew Barija here with Marcy Katsime. And definitely driving your business all the way. Well, before we proceed into our business insight discussion, still love to remind you that the markets on the Zabo platform, of course, are on. You can kindly participate by dialing *292#, which is simply the USSD code that will avail you with options where you'll be in position to actually buy government bond securities for a fee of 15,000 Ghana shillings. Now the market's already opened at exactly 8:15, and they'll be running all the way to 15 p.m. That is East African time, and this is effective Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends or the public holidays when this market's going to be accessed. But of course, that's not the big deal here. You have the rest of the days to capitalize and make money. It's something which I believe is quite key and important when it comes to your financial growth and development, and that's why Zabo clearly comes out and tells you that this is quite the right opportunity for you. And this is regardless of where you're located, whether you could be in the east, west, south, as long as you dare *292#, and whether you have a button phone or a smartphone, you can still participate. Zabo clearly says, my money, my future, and Altex East Africa tells you got to do something new for yourself. Remember, it is 2023. Now, as we proceed with our discussion with insurance here, we have Christopher Batiseke. He's head of business. He's the manager. That is Insurance Brokers Association Uganda, all known as the IBAO. And he comes out and he says, why do we need insurance? And of course, he was answering quite a number of questions from that regard, and the most interesting bit of it was the aspect of understanding whether if the incidents that happened in Morocco happens in Uganda, is the insurance industry ready to pay for that? $170 million that was paid out in Morocco, is that even the worth of the insurance industry in Uganda? But of course, Morocco is a big economy, but with the magnitude of what we experienced, are we able to cater for that? Well, he's going to be telling us more. I don't know what how ready that is, but of course, Christopher Batiseke is going to be answering that in our interview, right? Yeah,
true. And of course, as we actually, it could be an eye-opener, like we said yesterday, it could be an eye-opener for cases for disaster, calamities that happen, within, like maybe probably, like, imagine there were the floods that happened, maybe in Bali or, and affected families or business centers. How ready were those people?
How ready were those people?
Being compensated, Yes, there is government coming in to intervene, but then recovery, you to recover what you had invested in. Takes a long time actually to recover from what. But if you were assured and you have some form of security, definitely you'd be like, you know what, let me get this one to revamp myself, to re-establish myself.
A fallback state for you there. Well, let's get into this discussion with Christopher Batiseke, and of course we shall be returning to wrap this up.
Of course, as part of our job is to provide risk advisory services to our clients. We do represent the clients out there, and the question you're asking is very pertinent. It's very important because, yes, whereas we've tried to create a lot of awareness around insurance, the uptake is still low. There's so many reasons that can explain that, but I'll give you one or two. Despite all the campaigns and sensitization work we've done around the country, in the towns and up country, the uptake seems low because, one, our clients seem not to grasp yet how insurance works. And of course, they'll keep telling you, you know what, I'm buying all this insurance, but at the end of the year, nothing has happened. So how do I buy another policy again? But then they forget the key tenets of insurance and how it works and probably how much it benefits them. For example, the amount of premium someone pays compared to the amount of money that they will be, or the amount of money that will be paid back, or how much will be compensated in case of a loss. An example, you have your nice car, and it's probably, let me say, 10 million shillings, and you've been told, please buy comprehensive insurance, because we have the statutory third party. And of course, statutory third party, even that, simple as it is, some people will say, why am I buying insurance? But it is very simple. It is for the third party, road users. And it caters for two things: life, that is death and injury. But someone will tell you, what about my car? It only caters for death or injury of someone. And yes, we can argue about how much the compensation is, but that is work in progress, because we are working on legislation to increase it. But then, going back to my point, a vehicle of 10 million, and I'm asking you to pay comprehensive insurance for it, and you're probably going to pay premiums of about 400,000 shillings. Compare 400,000 shillings over a period of 1 year to what you might lose if your car is stolen, if your car has had an accident, and it's burnt probably. You're going to lose everything, but it's only 400,000 you're paying. So sometimes the understanding is not easy. But then economic hardships are there. Yes, some people may want to buy insurance, but they are economically hardened. They don't have the funds to buy insurance. Even some very simple policies. Even where someone feels it is going to really help me, but I do not have the one-time payment. And you see, that's why we've come up with all sorts of payment plans, because initially you would find it very hard. But now we try to talk to our clients and make it very easy for them to acquire insurance. So, whereas we do go out there and do all the sensitization and the talking, we need to do a lot in empowering our people in terms of financial independence. Financial independence is very, very low, and it affects. Someone will say, I don't have food at home and I'm buying insurance. For what? God will protect me. But then the challenge comes when they have a misfortune and they have lost everything. And I think for many people, that is always the wake-up call. I wish I'd bought insurance. And then that's when they will have to go in and buy. Or through testimony, some people come and say, no, for me, insurance has really worked for me, and I've benefited. But those are very few. And of course, there are those who will tell you insurance is for the rich. For us, we don't have that kind of money. Insurance is for the educated. And that is why we've coined our campaigns into the local dialects. We've tried to speak to the people in the language they do understand. Because somehow, English may have been a challenge into grasping what we're actually trying to put across. But when you put it into the local language, then it is easy. Because then they will say, oh, okay, this is how it helps me. I think I'll do it. And we've done that all over the local radios. We've gone to the local radios in the central, west, east, everywhere. So yes, it is work in progress. We are not letting our guard down. We are going to spread the gospel until we see this industry grow. Because you see, for us, we are providing a service, but the public out there is benefiting from this service. And it is our happiness that every citizen has an insurance or something to fall back to in case of a misfortune. There are quite a number of them, and I may not even exhaust them here. But you see, I will bring this out because bad news spreads faster than good news. You're asking because you don't know of any definite compensations we've made. But you've heard of so many complaints about non-payment of claims. But there are so many. For example, there was a fire that engulfed a mattress factory. I'm sure you heard about it.
Yes.
That company was well compensated. We've had fires at the Parkyard. Some of those people had loans from microfinance institutions. And one of our insurers came out and paid those vendors. And you see, for them it would have been a very big challenge because those loans are quite expensive, but they were compensated. But you see, beyond all that, in our own work environments, our employers have put in place, some of them, I would say, some of them have put in place simple insurance products that will help their employees, especially when it comes to productivity. For example, medical insurance. I can testify that a huge percentage of the corporate institutions' employees have benefited from medical insurance. And for an employer, that is satisfying because it gives their employees a peace of mind at work. They don't have to run out and chase for money to take a child to the hospital, to go to hospital themselves. The insurance is providing it, and it is doing very well. Our members of parliament all have medical insurance. If they didn't, then we will be hearing complaints all over the place and everywhere. But yes, the business community has benefited a lot. If you go to our friends Casita, they'll tell you that yes, some insurance companies have actually come through and helped. But most importantly, we don't want to remain at the big corporate institutions, the industries and so on. We want even the local vendor out there to be able to afford an insurance policy and for us to be able to pay them. And for me, that's why I come in as an insurance broker. My job is to make sure that the client has been duly compensated. Once you come to me, you leave everything to me because I'm going to take over and I will make sure I get you the policy you want. But most importantly, when a misfortune happens, I will be there to help you claim your process. And now we are trying to make it even more seamless by shortening the claim period. We want to make it as simple as possible. In a very short time, someone should be able to make a claim and pay it within less than a week. Leave alone the old ways of taking months and years and so on and so forth. So we want to do it in the shortest time possible. Yes. For example, right now here, some of the emerging risks we have are related to microinsurance. Microinsurance is a new emerging risk, and we want to emphasize it that yes, it is important to be able to cater for the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises, the wananchi who have small businesses. That is a focus that we are putting emphasis on. Let there be insurance for everyone in the small business circles. And we are having so many of these SMEs coming up. If you go and talk to probably Dr. Walugembe, they will tell you it is benefiting the people in the villages down there. Yes, it is the cooperative, they're forming cooperatives within themselves down there. Agriculture insurance, here it is not a very old risk. Government came in and really helped subsidize. Initially it was, I think, 5 billion shillings and provided that subsidy to the consortium. And we have a small group of insurance companies who are members of the consortium. And I can tell you there are so many people in the agriculture sector who have benefited from the agriculture insurance because government has also come in to support this risk. But also we're looking at things like oil and gas. Oil and gas is very big for us here in Uganda. It's very big, and you can see there's a lot to insure. There's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of manpower on the ground. There's so many businesses that have sprung up because of the oil and gas. So there's so many emerging risks. Recently we are having Takaful taking shape. Islamic banking. An Islamic bank was recently opened up, and this Takaful is doing business basing on the Sharia law. And it is going to be very helpful because there are people who don't believe in insurance from our Islamic faith because probably there's a lot of profit and so on and so forth. The Sharia law will help us here through Takaful to be able to have these options in place. So we need to brace ourselves for these emerging risks and be able to take them on as insurers, but also be mindful of the people we serve, that they're benefiting from them. For example, in terms of risks that the businesses are facing every day, there's so many. And I'll tell you, from a trader's perspective, competition is a huge risk. Economic hardships, once the economy tanks, there's a hardship there because then you're going to have inflation rising. and it is a day-to-day risk that we face. Someone may not be able to do business as usual. Yeah? We have things like operational risks. The amount of money needed to carry on operations on a day-to-day basis, they are very high. So you realize that, yes, whereas businesses are probably coming up every day, there are those risks that you cannot avoid every day. But if you have a cushion in form of an insurance policy, you will be able to protect yourself from probably closing business or closing shop or anything. So you make sure that you cushioned yourself. So we have to look at all these things in totality and be able to appreciate what insurance can do for you. Yes, in terms of disaster, and disaster is something you don't, you don't expect it. It's a God-made occurrence. And yes, what happened in Morocco is a big one, and we saw it in Turkey recently. And you ask yourself, as Uganda, as the business insurance industry in Uganda, do we have the capacity to take on some of risks of that magnitude? Of course, we've had our own challenges here with floods, we've had a bit of mudslides, and so on and so forth. Yes, whereas they're expensive, we've not had a big one. But I can tell you one thing, as an industry, we are more than prepared. Because one, we don't just deal with ourselves. We have what we call reinsurance companies. You see, when I take on a policy and it is too huge, a risk and it is too huge, I'll get a reinsurer to cushion me in case it is too much for me. Or we have co-insurance. Take more than one insurance company to insure. Yes, it will be a very huge toll on our industry, but I don't believe we don't have the capacity to handle such a risk. We do have with all our insurance companies available. And we are dealing with not only local, but even international insurance companies. So, yes, it will hit us, but we will survive. My final remarks here are very simple. We in the insurance industry, we call on the entire population out there to embrace insurance. We can tell you for certain that there's a lot to benefit in this in insurance. And if you come to us, the insurance brokers, I'll speak for my membership. The insurance brokerage fraternity has a lot of capacity to help you get the kind of insurance policies that you need. We provide a lot of risk advisory services. We do not just get you policies, but we provide risk advisory services that you will use to make proper decisions. When you're taking on a policy, we will advise you on the best possible available choices, and we will help see you throughout the term of that policy until the end, whether it's at a claim process or at renewal. We keep advising you on how to go about it. So, in general, the insurance industry is ready to receive you, but you must take a leap of faith. You must be able to believe that you can be able to take on a policy and it will help you. There are so many people who want to, but sacrifice is something they cannot afford. You need to make a sacrifice for yourself and for your family and for your businesses to be able to thrive and go through all these challenges that we face every day. Because at the end of the day, you never know when you will need this insurance. And for certain, as sure as the sun rises and sets, you will need an insurance policy at one point.
And of course, it's been breaking us down. Insurance, we had to find out why actually most Ugandans don't, there is a low insurance sector, despite the fact that the previous year there was a little bit of a slight, but still it's not enough. It's still little when it comes to uptake of insurance.
Yeah, I must say really when it comes to that actually, because I have some of my friends who work in insurance companies and they tell you really, you know, when you go out for sales and of course you're into interacting with people, people really have bias because people want the money. They're like, oh, it's going to take me a long time, 1 year, 5 years is a long time, I need the money. So that kind of mentality is wrong. And the fact that people go like, oh, I need food, then I have to do insurance. I mean, look at the kind of mentality. So we have a lot to do with mindset change, okay? This is for the future actually. This is security for the future, not for today. I mean, today you can save a little bit yourself, but then at least 200, I don't think 200,000 is a lot of money, depending on whichever policy you have agreed to go on to. You know, for 5 years, 5 years is a short time, you know, if you're planning to have a long-time investment into your business. Just like the examples he has been giving, the fires that got markets, cities and business centers. Imagine you've invested millions of money. You know, yes, fine, the building is going to be put back by government, but then where are you going to get the money to actually buy the stock?
Very true.
People never consider these things as they start out businesses. They feel like they are waiting for the thing to erupt, and then they're into think of ways of, then you go into loans. Or come on, guys. That's the best way I think you could compensate for a loss of your business.
Very true. And of course, according to a report from the Insurance Regulatory Authority here, Uganda's insurance sector recorded a year-strong growth of 20.4%, and that was in 2022, and that is compared to 10.61 in 2021. Now, statistics released by the Insurance Regulatory Authority Uganda show that the sector's gross written premium grew by 1.183. That is billion Ugandan shillings. Actually 1.83 trillion Ugandan shillings in 2021, and that is compared to 1.425 trillion shillings, that is in 2022. So there was a slight increase of about just 20.4% according to that. And now this is according to the ERA chief, who told the stakeholders recently that the impressive growth is evidence of recovery, that is of business activity, that from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic that were, you know, witnessed, you know, during that time. Not so many really undertook that. Now, the performance figures show that the non-life insurance business has contributed to about 818.7 billion Ugandan shillings for the industry's GWP during the period under review, while life insurance generated, that is about 485.8 billion Ugandan shillings. So you can see that performance in there. Now, health membership organizations generated about 38.3 billion, that is Ugandan shillings, down from 48.3 billion, that is the Ugandan shillings in 2021, representing a 20.7% decline. Now, the decline was attributed to the exit of IML and loss of some clients to health insurers due to an increase in premium renewal arising, that is from the previous poor loss experience. So that is how the statistics really stand. We still need more participants into, you know, to undertake insurance. That's quite a key. Why would you really have a business that you don't have insurance? And that's why some banks can't really give you loans unless your business is insured. What are they insuring? Is the collateral you're giving out there insured? Like earlier on, I told you about the Marine Act, that these vehicles can actually, these assets can be instruments of negotiation. That means you can go and take it to somewhere. If you want even to take it to a restaurant, you can get a meal for free, because if that person, if the boss of the restaurant really understands what we call instruments of negotiation, that car itself is money. It's a transaction tool. So you can actually, you see the benefits that come along that. Well, it's 9:27. Smart Means Business, Andrew Barija here with Master Katime, and we are driving your business all the way. And of course, coming up shortly after here, we shall be taking a look at Uganda, and you know, which is said to hold the milk, some sort of an export for milk across Africa, and it's really performing really great when it comes to milk production. But definitely yesterday, our team was on ground actually to get in touch with the different organizers to see how effective, how are they ready for this expo. More of that coming up shortly after this break.